talking points and the promises that they've been making for black people for the last 100 decades. Seems like I'm just exaggerating, not 100 quite, but it seems they keep making these promises, and I'm beginning to see that it's all for power. It's all for power. Um, One thing that hit me listening to when it came to COVID, many might ask, well, why, what was the purpose in them unleashing this disease at the time they did? For one thing, they didn't want Trump to be in office. And I always knew, I just didn't know when, but I always knew that they were going to unleash, and they're not going to stop unleashing these diseases, these sicknesses. And it's looking like everything has been done so that they can advance their agenda. COVID was put in place, as far as I'm concerned, to interrupt what Trump was doing. And what Trump was doing, he was bringing stability to America and to its people. And because he was bringing this stability, it became a problem for them because they can't stand stability. So that's why they can't stand another Trump, another 4 years of Trump, because they can't stand him building up America when they're trying to pull it down and destroy it. It's evident. And I think, from what I'm seeing, it's almost as if they think we're stupid, absent-minded, or can't see through what is actually happening around us when it comes to the politics. I can see clearly. I'm nobody's fool. And I'm glad that I voted for Trump. But these are things that are unheard of to a lot of people. So they think, they normalize everything around them because everything's always been so chaotic. When you're used to chaos and everything being chaotic, you think, so, and this is part of their thing, is to keep up chaos and make it normalize chaos. So we're always going to think that some group is getting benefit over another group of people, when all along we allowed them to bring civil rights to our communities. We allowed them, it's a lot of things we allowed them to tell us who we are, while Kamala is talking about, Kamala hasn't experienced what we had to experience. We've had to experience over here in America. So it's an insult when I hear her say these things, and she doesn't have a clue of what we've been through in America. But she wants to toy with our needs. I'm beginning to get a clear understanding of a lot of things. But Kamala's definitely not it. She wants the power. The Dems want the power. And they don't give a damn about the American people whatsoever. So the American people will have to care about themselves enough to know who's going to deliver and who's not going to deliver, who's going to pull and tear you down. I've been catching a few videos on fascism, what is fascism, and what is communism, and what is Marxism, and stuff like that. It's very interesting if you educate yourself into what really these things are, because we hear people, talk about it, and they call people this, people that, she's fascist, he's fascist. But what does that really mean? And the fact, I know from what I've learned is that the communist wants to tear down, and they want to take away the things that we have been given, which is, our free rights to rise above as high as we want to rise above, our free rights to make mistakes, our free rights to, because look at, I think her name is Mrs. Beatty. She went and protested. I think it's Beverly Beatty. She has a young child, a husband, and she went to support anti-abortion, against abortion, and she saved 150 babies that day. Probably more, I don't know, it depends if it's twins, triplets, or whatever they were carrying at the time they wanted to go for the abortions. But she made 150 people not able to get abortions in one day. And that's something that should be celebrated. But under under her regime, this young lady has to be jailed for 3 years away from her own baby. Now, this ain't the first time Kamala has done this. Like I said, I've said it before, Trump has done more things for people that look like me than Kamala. The things she has done to us, our people in California and here. She's just imprisoned them, had them kicked off their lands by foreigners who invaded America. A lot of them had to leave the state, flee the state. But yet she'll talk about, she did this for California, she did that for California, but it's all nothing more than lies. She did nothing for California. She did nothing at all. Nothing. Like I said, I'm just glad that I early voted, and I voted for Trump, of course, and that all of this stuff, I mean, it's too evident. But because she has the news media on her side, she has the radio stations, some of the radio stations on her side, but they are going to begin to see her hurting. They're about to go see her hurting if they haven't already. A lot of people don't even listen to a lot of news stations. I know I don't. I don't waste my electricity in my house looking at news. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense how they have Trump syndrome, anti-Trump syndrome. It's ridiculous. You can't even stand it. You can't tolerate it. It's intolerable. So I try to be positive, and I listen to both people, and I'm listening to Kamala, and she just ain't it. Hey, Guy Nollywood Jr., a long time no see. Where you been? Where you been hiding? So, She, Kamala, it's quite clear they interrupted Trump's regime, what he was doing for the people, and we know the motives was because they couldn't stand any more of what he was doing. He was making a good economy, and that's not what their bosses wanted. Their bosses didn't want the ones who are paying the Dems to be able to hold their power and stuff. They don't want that. They want us Americans to be utterly destroyed, our whole economy to be destroyed. So you stay. Oh, that's right. You stay away from European politics. But it's not. I don't think it's European politics, because we got to know we need to know our stories and what we put in place and how much power and control we actually have. God, Nollywood Jr., if you knew that your forefathers, your ancestors did great things and were very highly advanced people, and that we did this for humanity's sake, then politics, all this stuff wouldn't bother you. It's just that there's always people who want to keep us from rising, and I believe we're the main group that is targeted. But their ultimate thing is to destroy humanity. Their ultimate thing is to destroy humanity. But because humanity is who us, right? So we have to consider those things. We really have to consider those things. See, if our people knew that we were more than booty shakers, rump shakers, or, we were so much more than just those things that we've been fed. Only a person that's degrading you wants you to, when somebody's degrading you, they have this thing where they want you to think about yourself. And that's what happened to our people. They want us to think and live in such a way that it's just not productive. And as long as we're not productive, we're playing by their hand. So Trump is definitely the man, because he knows who to go after, and he knows how to right the wrong. So he's going after these people, knocking them out the way, because for decades upon decades they've been in the way of progress and putting nonsensical things in place, and also trying to make the people sick. Nonsensical things, sensible things like whether you're a girl or a boy. That is the least of our issues, but people are not taught that there's greater issues, and then they get lazy brains, and their lazy brains, and all they resort to is sex, 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 sex. My sex becomes greater because I'm not trying to really live a life. I'm trying to find meaning, and they're finding the wrong meaning. They're going about it the wrong way, basically, is what I'm saying, because that should be not even a thought, or but people make things important, especially like abortion. Kamala's thing is abortion, and you got to question, a lot of these sisters who fall into the trap of repeating people with my body, my choice, have to really consider, is that sensible to repeat after people who wants to say my body, my choice, when that is ridiculous? You should, of course, it's your body, it's your choice, but are you are you taking care of yourself from the get-go? Are you taking care of yourself? Because I can't just go out and commit suicide unless, no, you can't, you can't commit suicide. You can't put a child in harm's way either. But a lot of people don't know that that's a child. They don't even think of it as a child. They just think about themselves. So that's selfishness. That's where we're at half the time in this society, is with some people that it's just a small number of people. They just don't know. They just don't know that if you're not taking care of yourself, then that too is not a good thing. You take care of yourself in the beginning, you don't have to run around talking about my body, my choice, because you're going to make the right decisions if you really love that body. But sometimes that's just a talking point. That's just a slogan that some people just want to say to make their movement more important, which is, it really makes no sense. You wouldn't have to be in plan B if you took care of plan A in the first place. And the whole thing is, they're not in it alone. The whole thing is, they're not in it alone. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. But let some people tell it. Let some people just tell you. Let some people tell you it's only one person that can make the decision. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So when Kamala talks about abortion, that's just utterly ridiculous to me. It tells a lot about who she is and how she thinks. But Charlemagne the God, he's perfectly fine with this person pushing in our community abortions. And that's disturbing. That's very disturbing. Very disturbing. It's just, she totally has no respect for Charlemagne the God. She has no respect for Charlemagne the God. And that's because he has no choice but to jump on the bandwagon. He really has no choice. So she knows he's easy, and she got him in the pocket, and he has to do his job of trying to influence other people that look like him. Why Kamala might be the best choice for our community. So, gotta put it like this now. So, So Kamala just isn't it, but she is definitely very, very extreme. She's very, very extreme. She's an extremist. And what I see, if she gets into office, I see us not having the life that our ancestors have fought for us to have. You got to know that there's people before us who fought and worked very hard for this country to be what it is today. And that's all I'm going to say. So with that said, always remember true love, real peace, and the higher self within the soul. Peace.